My name is Sandra. I'm one of the senior officers of the Shelter and Settlements Department of the IFRC at the Secretariat in Geneva. My team is a small team that basically provides technical supports and methodological supports to the Red Crosses in their country to, support on any recovery, reconstruction, housing program, whether it is pre-disaster or post-disaster. That's what we try to do and promote. It is not my first visit in Sri Lanka. I have been working just after the tsunami for about 3 years in Sri Lanka, in 2005 up to 2007. At that time, the Federation as a whole was not so much involved in what we call the transitional shelter phase, assisting tsunami-affected populations at that time. So I was working with Oxfam GB as the National Shelter Advisor at that time, and helping people to basically, support to shelter on the East Coast and the South Coast mostly. So I do think I know the context and the country quite well, but it is the first time I basically visit and the field visits of the PCRP program. Well, basically I'm impressed. Most of all, I'm impressed because the endeavor is huge. The scale of the reconstruction efforts in the post-conflict situation is really something that is quite unprecedented. I think we have a unique chance here. It's a unique program, as we're known for post-disaster work. We're less known as a movement for rehabilitation, reconstruction, and post-conflict work, I would say. We're more known as humanitarian shelter than durable housing reconstruction, although, as I say, Sri Lanka is quite particular because we have experienced large-scale reconstruction after tsunami, but that again was natural disaster. So it is quite unprecedented, and what I'm seeing in the field that we're doing a lot of good work with the communities that are there to resettle. We're taking the approach that we took after the tsunami with the CRRP program, the Community Recovery and Reconstruction Program at that time, and the learning from there was that owner-driven housing reconstruction where people take the ownership much more than as opposed to the donor-driven. The owner-driven is basically an approach that we try to promote by default now. It brings together people, it provides somehow the cash flow, the cash transfers with the financial setup. We provide technical support, and that's happening through both Federation Sri Lankan Red Cross, their technical officers and monitorings. And then we definitely encourage people to actively participate to the whole effort. So the beauty of the owner-driven approach is really getting those three elements, those three ingredients of the recipe right, and support also the livelihood, the startup, and somehow also starting up that what I've seen is a lot of people through the cash grant in livelihood have been able somehow to turn their houses into homes with small-scale home-based activities, plantation, some livelihoods, training on carpentry, masonry, and all that construction can bring with it. So it's fascinating to see. I hadn't been here for 5 years. Some of the areas I did visit are the areas that I had been working in tsunami time. And I'm seeing that the willingness of people to resettle is so strong that even in extreme environments, flood-prone areas, drought-prone areas, people want to resettle and have now accomplished something unique in their lives to build their own house and rebuild it with our support. What I'm seeing across the globe, of course, I've been working a lot lately in Haiti and in other medium-scale disaster, not just the large-scale disasters. I'm seeing this one is quite unique because it has a very strong developmental aspect. We need to look at both the hardware of the construction and infrastructure work, but a lot on the software as well, giving people confidence, regaining, supporting them to overcome the trauma, so psychosocial support, health-related support, disaster management and risk reduction support, confidence building, trust building as them as a community. So a lot of the soft side of things are things that we need to encourage and look at. Well, the quality of the housing definitely is very good. What I'm seeing is that we're looking at mainly rural communities that go back to large plot of lands in which, yes, some natural resources are available and people are using them, but also contexts that are very remote locations, difficult to access places, very difficult to get materials from some of the supplies such as sand and timber from other locations, and of course communities and people that are not used to build houses, build such durable houses. People are both physically and psychologically affected sometimes, so it's stunning to see, with the technical support of the monitors and technical officers and our engineers, that the quality of construction is good. It's really somehow, it's durable construction and people are feeling safe and secure in those houses. Well, in any owner-driven housing program, and especially on this large-scale program, our role is to facilitate the process. So we're facilitators. Yes, we're technically supporting people to better produce some of the construction elements, but we're not only checking the bricks. We're not only looking at how to build a structurally sound roof. We're also there to facilitate the whole of the process. And that goes from identifying, for instance, sustainable sources in this country. As an island, as well, you have limited resources, looking into sustainability and durability of the construction elements. I know that there is a shortage already of sand, and there is a difficulty as well to supply the timber for roofing, for instance, and for doors and windows. It is our duty as well to inquire and to look at markets, to look at inflation, look at the cost analysis as well of those elements, and make sure that people are aware of somehow what is on the market, where to supply things from, what could be a cost-effective way of supplying that can also be facilitating bulk purchase in a community. Buy together your sand. You'll make sure that you'll get a better price for this. And we also need to look at the environmental aspect. What I've seen is, of course, an environment that, due to 30 years of war, is already a fragilized natural environment with limited resources. We should be looking and inquiring together with our other partners, implementing partners, facilitating partners on the Indian Housing Program, looking, and with the Ministry of Environment probably, what are the most sustainable sources for the timber, and advise on that, and making sure that we are responsible as well, not just for the construction of the houses, but more largely to make sure that the environment is somehow protected and making responsible decisions. Striking what we have achieved so far, as I said, making this happen with communities that are, yes, very impoverished by a long conflict, we can be really proud of what we collectively have achieved with them. I think the collaboration with Sri Lankan Red Cross and Federation is phenomenal. At field level, I'm seeing teams, you cannot identify who is who. Basically work hands in hand with the community as well. There is a big challenge ahead of us. I think the big challenge is to really change the gear. We need to switch gears now. We're looking at massive, basically, that was nearly a pilot. Now we need to engage on a really large scale program. So that also needs, a change of mindset on how can we make best use of the people that are around, of our human resources, making sure that social mobilizers are well engaged in the process as well. It's not just technical officers and monitoring officers. How to speed up the whole process of filing and verification of beneficiary, which is a very, it's a time-consuming process. How to make sure that we're looking at the other factors, legal issues, better quality of maybe also looking at settlements. This is not just multiplying houses. That's not what we do. We're not builders. We're not contractors. We're not constructors. We're the Red Cross. And as the Red Cross, we're here to help communities settle back in an environment and make them less fragile, and make sure that we, through construction effort, we make those communities more resilient. And I think, I'm taking from the whole effort is that definitely there is a power of people through the owner-driven. It's definitely a demonstration that when you support people to build their own houses, you can achieve safer living environments. We have definitely the opportunity and a duty as well, a duty of care. The end of the process is not just the completion of the house. It's not once the key is on the door that our role is finished. We better than anyone else also know the community through the volunteers of the branches. So through our branches of the Red Cross and Sri Lankan Red Cross, we should be able to follow up with, first of all, the most vulnerable caseloads, those who have either not been able to finish on time or need extra support, and refer those as well to the health authorities. Make sure that people know where to go to ask advice, somehow follow up as well on some of the legal aspects, making sure that people don't incur debt that goes beyond their capacity to pay back. You're welcome.